Greater gender equality is not a zero-sum game where you're taking something from one group of people and giving it to the other. It's leveling the playing field and improving the situation for everybody.
Dit is Tegenlicht, over de buitengewone vrouwen van IJsland. IJsland staat al jaren op 1 in de Global Gender Gap Index, het wereldwijde gendergelijkheidslijstje. Nee, dan Nederland. Stonden we 10 jaar geleden nog op een respectabele 13e plek, nu staan we op nummertje 28, ver onder België. Hoe anders is het hier, waar genderongelijkheid serieus is aangepakt. In IJsland hebben ze de loonkloof voor 91% gedicht, bestaat er een volstrekt gelijkwaardig ouderschapsverlof en hebben ze al meerdere vrouwelijke premiers en presidenten gehad. En toch staan hier in Reykjavik 100.000 IJslanders te protesteren voor 100% gelijkheid op alle fronten. Wat kunnen we van hen leren?
So this year, I did a television interview and I was talking abroad about how Iceland was, quote unquote, the best country for women. And someone afterwards came up to me and said, okay, so if Iceland is the best country in the world for women, what's the best country in the world for men? And I said, all of the countries are the best country in the world for men, including Iceland.
Eliza Reid is de First Lady van IJsland en maakt zich al jaren sterk voor vrouwenrechten.
When you're the first lady, it automatically defines you in relationship to somebody else. And while I'm very proud of being my husband's wife, I don't think that it's my defining characteristic as a person.
Het land kent een lange geschiedenis wat betreft gendergelijkheid. Al in 1980 werd hier de eerste vrouw tot president gekozen.
A former president served for 15 years. But even right now, we have a female prime minister, gender balance on our cabinet, almost balance in parliament. 2009, we had our first female prime minister. She was also the world's first openly gay head of government.
Her Excellency Johanna Sigurðardóttir, Prime Minister of the Republic of Iceland.
And that's so important for young people as well to see that this is possible.
When I look back to my childhood, I'm of course born into the presidency of the first woman president in the world who was democratically elected, Madam Vigdís Finnbogadóttir. And I sometimes say that this probably helped shape a generation of women who really, burned for gender equality because we saw it in action. And a lot of little girls in Iceland thought that, you had to be a woman to be a president because that's everything that we knew for a very long time.
Around the turn of this century was when we introduced the laws on parental leave that both parents need to take. So it's called use it or lose it, which means that if a second parent doesn't take the leave, nobody gets to take it, which takes the pressure off in heterosexual couples, off mothers having to take all of the parental leave. A lot of fathers take their paternity leave. They get involved at a really young age in their children's lives, and then mothers go also back to work. So we have one of the highest rates of female participation in the workforce in the world.
The mom gets 6 months and the dad gets 6 months, so it is 12 months in total.
And how did you experience the parental leave?
I thought it was very difficult. My son didn't really sleep. It was a lot more work than I ever anticipated.
Hei.
Hei, hva sier du?
Det ser godt.
Ja, bare godt. Hvordan det går hjemme?
Det er bare vel. Men er klar å sykle i hvor?
Okay.
Er det noen polka?
Hressende. Det kommer, ja.
Equal parental leave is absolutely critical in my mind for many reasons. If we look at the company perspective, it doesn't matter what gender you are very likely to take parental leave if you choose to have children. And so that, with that assumption, there is no discrimination within the workplace of, women being more likely to be away on maternity leave, and with that, it gives an equal playing ground, I would say. The way that it works here in Iceland is that when people go on parental leave, the government pays for their salaries or part of their salaries during their leaves. That gives the companies the flexibility in their payroll, because they pay less during that time, to actually take someone new in, either temporarily or someone that will then be part of the organization going forward. But this is absolutely critical for it all to work.
When you're working, say, to educate your population evenly, in Iceland we actually have 2/3 of our university students are women, and you're helping to pay for that education, and then those people aren't going back into the workforce, not only are you losing all of the ideas and innovation and perspective, you're also losing the income tax that all of those people are paying. So it can become very costly not to have half of your population really effectively contributing to your society in that sense. Although, I mean, raising children is very important. I'm not saying that, but on a bottom line.
Have you ever had that much time off together before?
No.
No, never.
No. We've never, yeah. He is always, he has...
I've always been at sea, like as work.
Yeah.
So I was a marine engineer on a container vessel. When we found out we were pregnant, we started thinking about I should be at home more. So I switched to electrician. I finished studying it, and yeah.
I think that was always the plan, at least, that you weren't going to be out at sea in the beginning of
his life.
That was, and I did not want to have a kid, and he leaving for 3 weeks at a time. Oh. That was just not in the picture.
And I'm happy I did it, because he was not easy, a little dude. So.
No. I can't imagine where I would be at if you had left for like 3 weeks at a time. Nope.
At my previous workplace, there was total agreement for me to leave the company, to stay more at home, to be with my kid.
Even though it's like a male-dominated workplace.
Yeah. Some guys didn't even meet their kid until it was 6 months old or something. So.
I think we have the same expectations.
Yeah.
He spots me if I need something extra, and I do the same. Sometimes we all need a break. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Iceland, another one of our big challenges still is what's called that mental load in a family that disproportionately women in heterosexual relationships are bearing, which means disproportionately it's the women who remember to water the plants and book the dentist appointments and who has football practice and buy the birthday present for your friend and all of these other things that are going on, even though maybe a dad will go and buy the birthday present under specific instructions.
We talk about the 3 shifts. So the first shift is actually your paid job, the job that you do for a salary. This is the first shift. The second shift is all the different chores that you do. So if you mop the floors, or you load the dishwasher, or you take out the trash, this is a part of the second shift, the act of doing it. The third shift, or the mental load, which is it's often called as well, is all of the invisible work that happens to make sure that the household runs like this. So it's pretty much the project management of it, let's say. So remembering that your kid has to take their swimming clothes or their swimwear to school tomorrow. And then you remember that they're still in the bag from last time they took it to school. And you have to take it, you have to clean it, and then you have to make sure they have a new towel, and you have to make sure it's somewhere they remember it, and then you remind them. And all of this stuff that is not just the act of taking it to school or reminding the kid even, it's all of these thought processes. And most often women do this work, and it's not always appreciated, and we don't even realize it because It's invisible in most cases. Geheim is a mobile app that helps families to organize their household chores and mental load in a simple, fun and fair way.
Me and my partner have been trying to use the Geheim app. I can't tell you that we are doing this too consistently, but it is really nice because this is kind of an overview of the tasks at hand. Both of us have taken out the trash, so we have different colors assigned to us. So I am blue, my partner is yellow, cleaning the shower, the oven, and shopping for food. So, for example, the oven, we deem that as a difficult task, so we get 3 points, and my partner has now 3 points because he just did that.
The truth is that women do 75% of all household work globally. When you're investing this many hours in your household, and we're talking 3 hours per 1 hour a man invests in their home, you have less time for personal and professional development. And this reflects in, for example, the gender pay gap and in like the differences in opportunities that men and women experience in the labor market, and also just in rates of burnout and more negative things. So you can pretty much look at gender equality from any lens, and you can relate the problem back to unequal division of household work and how we value differently the time of men and women.
It's a good approach for the kind of like just opening our minds to kind of the third shift, because I'm definitely seeing that even though trying to be very conscious of not being the primary parent, in that sense, being mindful of this third shift.
I think there's a lot of wonderful things that we are doing in the right direction here in Iceland, but I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is the fact that you probably won't speak to a person in Iceland who says, yes, we're the best, but. You always have that word but at the end, which shows you that we know that being the best doesn't mean we're there yet. We still have gender-based violence, intimate partner violence. Women still earn less than men for the same amount of work. You know, women of foreign origin, queer women, trans women, women with disabilities, all also have further challenges that we need to make sure that we are addressing all the time. So we do have work to be done, but I think another key thing here in Iceland is that we've really past the tipping point of debating whether or not this is an important objective for us as a society, but how we're going to get there.
Well, that's a debate they still have to have in the Netherlands.
Yeah. So in 1975, the women of Iceland decided to take a day off to talk about the inequality that was going on in society. And so 90% of the country's women that day didn't work. And that means that not only did they not go into their places of paid labor, but they didn't do any work from the home. They didn't do caregiving for older relatives, for children. They didn't cook any meals. They didn't clean. And the country shut down, of course. And people really realized what an impact that women have. This year, in 2023, on October 24th, the anniversary of the women's strike, we're doing a whole full day strike again.
The day strike is an all-day strike. This year's slogan is, do you call this equality? And it's supposed to be ironic because we know that, and we are aware of the privileges we have here. We know that Iceland is very, very advanced when it comes to gender equality and democracy, but we want to point out to us, remind ourselves, and to the world that we haven't reached equality yet. Everybody living in Iceland will enjoy the fruit of the struggle that women in Iceland have fought for. And we really, really want people to think about inequality that still exists in our society.
I intend to go on this strike with my mom and a lot of my friends from university.
I'm going to be there for the women in my family who had to settle for less than I have gotten. And I'm going to be there for future generations that I hope will get more than I'm getting.
We can't have a narrow focus of what gender equality means. there is a lot of intersectionality. There are additional challenges for areas. And so we need to think about that. We need to reflect those in laws. We need to see people like this on our screens, in our media, in politics, and in positions of authority. And that will eventually help. But you can see through the statistics, again, queer women, trans women, women of foreign origin, all of them have further challenges.
Queer rights and women's rights are very interlinked. We cannot like distinguish one from the other because these groups collide. They are one and the same in many aspects, and we can't just fight for one minority and exclude all the others.
Expectations really for us as the queer community is that we are included and we are heard, and we are not just there because they are women or non-binary, but because we are part of a community and we have our individual voices that need to be heard.
Yes, definitely. And I also just want to kind of stand in a square and scream with a lot of people because that is very powerful.
Feðraveldi! Og einu sinni enn svo þetta fær ekki fram hjá neinum í heiminum. Feðraveldi!
Það eru nú liðin 48 ár frá fyrsta kvennafrídeginum og konur og kvár verða enn fyrir kerfisbundnu, launamisrétti og kynbundnu ofbeldi sem verður að útrýma. Við ætlum ekki að bíða lengur eftir aðgerðum. Við viljum breytingar og það strax! Kallarðu þetta jafnrétti?
Working towards greater equality is a choice. It's not something that's just going to happen of its own accord. So once you've decided it's something that is going to improve the lives of everybody in your society, then you can work towards it and by all means have healthy debate about how you're going to do that and the speed at which you're going to do that. But I think the fact that we know it's a conscious choice and we know that we have to keep our eyes on the prize. You know, if we blink, if we stop thinking about it, we'll take a back step. Greater gender equality is not a zero-sum game where you're taking something from one group of people and giving it to the other. It's leveling the playing field and improving the situation for everybody. And I think if we can really convince people that that is the case, that we can get most people on board, because who doesn't want to improve their life?